All right. Well, we were talking about old school here, and
Old school.
and some of the influences there, and it kind of gives me the thought of, all right, you've talked about a few of these cats that you'd like to play with, and that have had some influence, but who had the major influence on you early as you were learning to play, kind of midway through your career, and who are you listening to today?
Well, if we just talk about drums, just a lot of the soul drummers. There was a lot of drummers on that are unsung. You don't even know how good they are. Like Al Green's drummer. Al Green used to come on TV from time to time, and they'd show his band, and he had this drummer that was so nasty. The dude had drums that were made like timpani. Yeah, I wonder where those drums are. You know how you have two heads? His were made like timpani. And this dude was a virtuoso, and the guy that reminds me of him is a guy named Yogi Horton. Yogi Horton is not with us anymore. But Yogi was a super genius on the drums, man. He played with Luther Vandross. So a lot of times Luther's playing ballads, so you don't really know how good Yogi is. But man, I took Barney Porter, a guy who I worked with in Virginia when I had my first drumatar. And Barney saw what I was doing with the drumatar. He says, look, man, I need to do a band with you, da-da-da-da. And I knew Yogi, right? Because we had some kind of way, how did I even know about Yogi? But I seen Yogi. I think it was like I saw Yogi because I had done some dates with Kashif, and we did some dates with Yogi. I said, man, you got to hear this drummer, man. We went, and we could only stay because he got a call, so we couldn't stay to see Luther. And they were playing a slow ballad, A House Is Not a Home. Boom, boom. And Yogi took the tune up so high, Barney said he had tears in his eyes. You know what I mean? It's like you can't really make all of this out on the record. So whose influences me? I got a chance to see some of the drummers. I got a chance to see Curtis Mayfield. And I saw the percussionist, man. Every time the percussionist, he had these little plastic rototoms mixed in with his congas. So every time he took a conga solo, it was a melodic solo. Superfly, do 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 do. And the intro of Superfly is a melodic solo. Well, just magnify that by 10 live. Every solo he's taking is a melody going on, and that's when I first knew that. That's what led to my piano. Now I knew that we could do melody between that and say Max Roach. So there's a lot of combination of influences. The great drummers that we actually saw, like I heard James Brown stuff. Those grooves. That's what all the rap. When rap started to really, hip hop started to really arrive from the stiff drum beats to the grooves are starting to get right now. They started sampling the James Brown, which is swinging and funky at the same time. Them beats is nasty, man. So I grew up with that, feeling that, man. Who's ever playing that escapism groove? Who's playing Get On Up? It's like, who is playing that? And we just trying to swing it like that, man. And who's playing like, there was one nasty drum beat of James Brown that had this breakdown. Give It Up or Turn It Loose or something, Anyway, that stuff really influenced. And then Curtis Mayfield, just the musicality. The percussionist got me more than the particular drummer per se. The percussionist playing all that melody. And just growing up, and growing up through soul music to the fusion drum, the jazz drummers, but particularly the fusion drummers too. Billy Cobham, before Billy, Buddy Rich. Everyone knows about Buddy Rich. He comes on Tonight Show. He does a dazzling display. You can't see his hands, man. You just wishing you had some videotape where you could slow it down. He's just blazing, man. You got Buddy Rich, you got Louis Bellson doing his double bass drum thing. Gene Krupa before him was like an Elvis on the drums, real animalistic kind of, this kind of thing. But Buddy's a technician. I like that technique, man. So that was a big influence. But coming out of that jazz age, through Max Roach and, Elvin, carving all the times and the polyrhythms. Tony Williams is like the Shakespeare on the drums, the most poetic drummer maybe ever, Ryan Blades got some of that poetry that Tony had, but Tony's got a particular mix that's just virtuoso power of Shakespeare and the poetry of Francis Bacon or something, man. There was someone else I was going to mention, Tony, and then Lenny White started coming out of the fusion. Lenny White, Alex Acuna to me had some of the most beautiful stick strokes. Billy Cobham came and shattered the mold. Billy Cobham came and shattered the new mold. He just shattered everything, literally shattering drums, shattering bass drum pedals, breaking stands. All the stuff that we got now is Billy Billy Cobham's new mode. Chains on the pedals, don't break no more. The stands are thick. You know, everything's thick and ready for him. You know, and he just came with another kind of technique where Buddy Rich would localize and focus in the snare drum out. Billy was all over the drums with the virtuoso. So it's like, whoa, we learned something from that. And then out of that, we get our Michael Jordans and stuff. Like, you know, one of the Michael Jordans of the drums is like Dennis Chambers, you know. Dennis Chambers all over the drums, killing it. Most, like, everybody's like kind of all over the drums, man. But we owe that to Billy Cobham to even know how to approach it like that. How do I even think about the drums like that? He was a superhero, you know. And so these are a lot of from the drum influences, and that just spreads out to the melodic side. You know, the Miles, Art Tatum. You know, Art Tatum's a big influence. Me and Art Tatum got the same birthday, October 13th. And then even in martial arts, percussion, Bruce Lee, you know, big influence, you know, the Bruce Lee, and it's a wide story, but that's just a little bit of the drum story, if that helps.
Right. And you know, kind of a follow-up to that is how, you know, your own career has developed, and of course, you know, you developed the drumitar, and then, you know, the Royale, the percussion piano, and then what influenced you, or what inspired you to pursue after developing the Black Mozart Project and composing and directing or conducting?
Yeah, that's a still small voice speaking, man. A lot of times we have a small voice whispering the direction, you know. And if you're still enough, you can hear it. And, you know, I'm talking about Busch Gardens. You know, we were working, but I had a lot of time to think and listen and feel. And just digging so far into the drums and grasping so much, it opens up other roads that you can see. And so I could see down some beaten paths that wasn't so beaten, you know, the roads. I could see down some roads less traveled. And it's like, I'm reading about mythology. It's like, this is a mythological journey now. And on that journey, there comes a time, sometime when you step off the beaten path. You step off of what you know, and you go into the unknown. And they say a lot of times, you know, we're going on a hero's journey, and you hear a voice that leads you to somewhere into a zone unknown, you know. Like an Aborigine, they go on a walkabout. We just stepping away from civilization for a minute. We stepping away into the unknown. But then Joseph Campbell says, when you think you're going to be the most alone, there you find the whole world. So I'm working on something I think is just going to be way out. But yeah, I'm playing with in Faces. He says, I got to play there. While I'm playing with there, Baylor calls me up and says, you know, I want to try it here. You know, how many years later, I'm still doing that with Baylor, the drumitar. You know, so now I have a record of records that, you know, this idea of playing the drums a different kind of way can work. So how did it come to me? The basic idea is I wanted to try to play hand drumming. You know, the way people play drums most places in the world is not with sticks, it's with the hands. So from the experience of playing with sticks in America, where the drums evolved in a multiplex kind of way, Tony Williams said the drum set is unique here in that in most places around the world you play one drum. In America, you hear the drum set, you play the bass drum in your foot, sock cymbal in your left foot, snare drums here, ride cymbal here, and you're getting the whole parade drums. Bass drums, snare drums, cymbals, tom-toms, snare. You know, you got it all, and it's all at the same time. And that was a unique approach that I knew how to do, that I wanted to pull that understanding in my hands. And if I could do that here and play the whole drums, I would think of melody a different way. It would lead me back to the melody a total different way. And that was the thrust out. People say, did you do it to have less equipment? No, it was an experiment to see that I could get this touch hand drumming in a modern way. And that has led to not only just the drumitar, but the keyboard, which lends itself to a whole universal music, universal language thing. Because, you know, I'm saying it's not just music, it's language too.